Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. Let me close my door. The air conditioner is going today, and well, you gotta try to minimize
Hello,
the
man.
sound. And there is my sound check. Hello, Mgtows. Let me close my door. There we go. What a handsome voice. Hello, everybody that's around. Hello, men. Hello. I just started early today because, well, it was requested that I start early today. I didn't know who was going to come in, if anybody is going to come in and talk and try to fill the gap until SFM starts his. And I don't even know if he's going to do one today. I would ask him if he is, and but we need to fill the time on a Saturday and do these things. It's a beautiful day on the north coast of Ohio here. It's kind of shady, kind of rainy, but it's okay. It's hot, and I've got the air conditioner running at full blast, and hey, it's okay inside of here. So today we're talking about we were talking about earlier. We were talking about what Mgtow is going through and what Mgtow has been going through for 15 years now, and it's not the first time we've seen it. It won't be the last time we've seen it. A couple years ago, they connected us to the alt-right, and it was probably one of the worst things that ever happened to Mgtow. Milo Yiannopoulos came around, and they connected him to a white gay sort of alt-right pushing for the election of Trump sort of thing, and we got connected to this. Nowadays, when I put in my Google search, you use Google, and then the news, they ask you what your they ask you. There was 5 people, now there's okay. They ask you what you want to search for. So I put in Mgtow, and then they give me all these stories now for the alt-right, never really truly knowing what Mgtow is, and they kind of falsely equate us with that and this whole thing that's going on in Charlottesville and the KKK and all that. It's a convenient grouping with your enemy, and Mgtow really has nothing to do with that kind of garbage. But this is nothing new for Mgtow. We often get attacked by our traditional conservative brothers, our tradcons, and our purple pill brothers, and all those, because our ideologies and our theologies and whatever we believe in doesn't line up with theirs, and they try to crush us. And that's about that's about that's about norm for the process. It's not like we haven't been going through this in the past, from the days of Robert Bly writing Iron John, which I think is just a horrible book for men to read. It's all about becoming the suffering and that sort of stuff. And from those days up to Warren Farrell, from Paul Elam to men's rights, it stands now to the Barbarossa Stardust, Karen, whatever her name is, and then up to now, it's become this recidivistic pattern of getting pushed back down by the media, the false connections, and the power of media. And now we see the government and YouTube and Google with a alliance, which I call prior restraint, because the government's not supposed to do that, trying to curb what they believe is hate speech, and hate speech is quite subjective in those things. And if you ever look under what hate speech is, basically every person on YouTube can be said to have some hate speech, unless it's like a Disney classic, which is like just what I believe is just well, it's just double speak and lion speak, and too much happiness sometimes is just garbage. If someone coming around and they're proclaiming Excuse me, I made some tea with some honey in it to try to soothe my voice. Um, if someone's coming around claiming that their life is all so happy and great and everything's great and this is the way it's, and that's what you get on YouTube. It's all Lion King and Disney classics and people telling you falsities about the world. If someone's coming around and telling you that their life is just superior and is great, and if you were just like them, everything would work out and everything would be great. That's pretty much a lie. I can tell you that's a lie from the inception. If they're somewhat mad and speaking out against something, I can tell you there's probably more truth in that because they're saying our lives are not great. YouTube's going to become. I don't think Disney just bought a portion of YouTube or most of YouTube, and that's why they're doing this. They want Disney classics, Snow. What is that? Snow on the Mountain songs being sung by fat little girls and costumes and cute little bunnies and kitten videos. And hey, that's their right to do that with their product, but at least give us a chance to move away from this thing. But with the Google censoring and everything, it's forcing you into a lie that everything is great and everything's wonderful, but that doesn't matter. That really doesn't matter. We've seen this all and all before. It's the tempering of Mgtow. Uh, we've gone through this 4, 5, 6 times already, and men will come and men will go, and some will be easily chased off, and some will recrystallize, and the iron of the man will show, the brass of the men will show. It's like tempering steel. It involves segregating these particles and carbides and all this stuff, and that's what I call martensite. It's a martensite structure. You take out all the little flaws, you take out all the little cracks of the man, but that comes at a harsh process. When you're tempering MGTOWs, what you're doing is you're simply making them stronger, and it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that this doesn't make no sense here. Let me redo this. Something wrong here with my page. This doesn't make no sense here. Okay, let me put that back up. And yeah, when you're tempering MGTOWs, you're just recrystallizing these men of iron, and you're just what you're doing through a harsh process of media, foul media covering that. You're just making them stronger, and that's tempering. That's tempering alloys out of the metal and tempering the metal itself. And all good iron workers, all good men know this process. What does not make you, what does not kill you, will simply make you stronger in most cases, unless it wounds you for life and stuff like that. So in this process of tempering, we're going to temper MGTOW, and it's just making us stronger. Like I said, this has been going on for 20, 30 years, and we had the Mesopoetic period, and then we had Robert Bly with Iron John and that sort of stuff. And from that, we had Alfred Gingold somewhere in there in that Mesopoetic period of men's rights. We had Albert Gingo, the fire in the John. He talks about what's going on. They started seeing this thing. It's like divorce and trying to live with that, with what has gone on. And his ideas were just, hey, well marbled meat and comfortable shoes and take your son out camping and that sort of stuff. And they were kind of lesser. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? They really didn't take it all that serious, and it was a lesser cure for a greater problem. It was covering up. It was the happy, happy, joy, joy shit that we see coming around on MGTOW. If everybody's not happy, happy, joy, joy like that fucking Elmo Dow, uh, then they don't want it. But that is a lie in itself, and most of that lie is based on the horror of the actual truth of the world. Hello, Renee. There was like a bunch of people here, but it doesn't look like they stayed around. I opened up because there was a bunch of people asking for me to open up, and now they're not here. I was going to wait for a few hours, but we'll get it going and see if SFM is going to start a podcast, or if anybody's going to come in, and we'll do this. But what we're talking about is the tempering of the steel of the Mgtow. The more this stuff goes on, the stronger Mgtow will get. It will shed it's like a dog knocking off the fleas, and you, all the weak will leave, and then you'll be left with a stronger, better, more crystallized Mgtow. And hello, Renee. Hello, John. Hello, Greg. Hello, Bullet Machine, and anybody else that may be in. Hello, guys. I'm just started up early because, well, I thought there was going to be more people around, and then they all left. I was sitting reading Prometheus, and it was a great. Prometheus is a great story about about the secular process of being on top and being on bottom, and then being on top again. And Prometheus is more it's more it's it's exploited more. It's out there in your face. He gets eaten by eagles on the top of a mountain. He was a god that made men, and he molded men by making clay, and he made them in God's image, a lot like a lot of the other stories that we hear about how men were made. And Plato goes on about Prometheus, and says, one of the greatest things about man is men have flaws, and being a god, you have Trim Hits was banned by John. One of the greatest things about being a man is that we are flawed. We get to go through things. We get to learn things. We get to learn through our flaws, and we make mistakes, and then we get to correct them. The gods have all the power, and the gods will not be wrong, and they never learn how to be wrong. And I think that was the story of Prometheus. Uh, One of the Plato says that we get to we get all those things, all of our maladies, all of our, and then we get to fix them, and then we show our true strength, which is even stronger than the gods. Because when he looked at the gods, every time they went through some little thing where they were slighted, they didn't know how to handle it. And humans in a way, and that's what the story of Prometheus is about. Humans, every time they fail, every time they go through the fire of life, the temptation and the tempering of life, they come out better people after that is done. And I like to think about Mgtow as that. I like to think about Mgtows is a lot like that. We're going to go through these periods of highs where we're all happy, and we're going through we're winning in the press, and our names getting out there. And just as much as a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we were just flooding the media. Mgtow was on everybody's lips and everything. And now they come up with a lie about the alt-right and everything, and now everybody's, oh, I don't want to get involved with this stuff. And that's just the way it is. They're going to keep saying the lie that we're involved with alt-right. That's the way they censor us. That's the way they say it's hate. They say it's hate. And they'll keep saying that. And I'm sure they believe that. And I'm sure they believe in a lot of delusions in life. Like I said about most blue pill people, they're very deluded about what they do. They're willing to lie. We see this with Mexican Mgtow, and we see this with a lot of those newbie Mgtows and everything. They come in and they start spinning some lies about how they need hugs or how this is going, and then they need to delude themselves about that stuff, and they need to make it into a lie, and they believe the lies. That's what we can expect out of them, and the lies become so pronounced. We look at it, and it's almost like, oh, God. The disgusting media is like a horrible wench tied to a pole and bleeding and draped with dead animals. Uh, it's horrible to look at anymore. Most of us don't even look at the news, and by doing that, we're doing a silent protest about about the junk that they're pumping out. Yeah, yeah, that video I seen it about made about Messenger was just it was just horrible. And there's no nicer guy in Mgtow than Messenger, but he takes a lot. Excuse me, I'm drinking tea. I thought it would soothe my throat because I've been talking an awful lot this week, and but that's not working. But what we have to realize here in Mgtow is you can't kill Mgtow. There's no way to get rid of Mgtow. It's an idea, and you can't kill an idea. It's a lifestyle. It's like trying to stomp the lifestyle out of a billion men that all want to be Mgtow and do that. It's impossible. What they want is they want your servitude. What they want is they want your utility. What they want is a lot of things that they're not going to get. And no matter how hard they try, and no matter what horrible things they do to Mgtow, censorship and lies and all that stuff, it's just going to make us stronger in the end. It'll just give us the answers to the problems, like Prometheus, like when he forged the humans made out of clay and he gave them all these melodies and faults. Uh, they went through them and they learned how to deal with each melody and each fault, and that made them greater than the gods. And I like to look at the media as Zeus and that, and whatever god it was that went and stole fire from the mountains of Helena and brought it down and made humans and made Mgtows was a great thing. And now we're just learning. We're a very new group, but we're learning very fast about these things. And most of the time, all we have to do is just be patient. Just sit back, like Shining was saying earlier. Just sit back and just relax about this stuff because it's going to happen. And out of the fires, the forged steel will come a greater steel, and it'll make us stronger. It'll make us better. We're not saying we're perfect, and they will pick on every one of our maladies and every one of our faults, and they will bring it to light like all other humans don't have maladies and faults, and Christians are perfect, and this traditional idealism is perfect. No, that's just a delusional view about their own maladies and faults, which we see every day in their and it becomes like hypocrisy in our face when they do these things, especially the media. The media is so failing. Uh, most of those blue pill, they'll have to go through suffrage after suffrage, and that's why they call it suffrage, because suffrage is different than forming and tempering. They're suffering through those things because they can't understand that they were born imperfect. But most of the time, if you look at it and what Plato says about Prometheus is we're all born whole and we get torn apart by this world. And that's one of the truths in this thing. They're going to constantly try to tear you down. Remember that you are born whole and you have the strength within you. You have all the learned knowledge within you to defeat these things. And just look and learn, and you will become stronger. And that's what I'm hoping. We start seeing stronger Mgtows, better Mgtows, more honorable Mgtows, Mgtows that are worthy of being called a Mgtow. Me and Zeta used to talk about this all the time with the Black Panthers movie and and that thing, and how they wore the black suits and the white shirts and the ties and the hats, and they were saying like, we don't care what you say about us, we're going to come out of this thing better. and we're just going to portray a better quality of man. And that's what we're going to do. And that's where I hope in Mgtow goes to. It just forges a better quality of man through all the garbage that we have to take. And like Prometheus and like that little clay doll that he made, the clay doll wasn't perfect. It had to go through a whole lot. But in that perfection, the clay doll was actually better than the gods, because the gods were so pathetic that they couldn't make it through singular little problems that humans have to make it through every single day. Okay, John, I'll I'll admit that some people are born whole. You weren't born whole. You have a cybernetic limb. But it's better because it makes you stronger, John. It makes you the man you are, uh, working through these things. When you get a hole knocked in you, you try to fill it back up, and you learn how to work through these things in life. And at the end, it'll simply make you a better man, a better person to be around. At least knowledgeful and with a little bit of wisdom. So hello, Joey Aragon. Hello, John Kramer. Hello, everybody. Purge Mercenary. I haven't seen that before, but hello, Purge. The Purge Mercenary. Mercenary is the word we use for the females because they're merciless. They're mercenary. Bullet Machine. Why was Trim Hits was banned by John? Oh, I'd like to see what Trim Hits said. Stop the hammers. All he said was stop the hammers. John, you can't ban someone for saying stop the hammers. But it was probably someone. And hello, Invincible Summer. Hello, Mgtow Warriors. Hello, Eric. Always good to see you all around. Today we're talking about tempering. We're talking about recrystallization of iron and forging steel. And we're taking that idea and we're taking it to Mgtow, and how to forge a perfect Mgtow. What comes out after you've been in the heat, after you've been in the oven, after you went through it. The fires are hot. It's a harsh environment. Forging steel is something. Mgtow has to go through something similar to this process. I looked at the book Prometheus as what we are as humans, and what Plato said what we are as humans, and he loved the idea of Prometheus because it says that humans are actually better than the gods because we actually have faults and we have to learn how to deal with these faults. The gods never have to deal with their faults, and what makes them infallible. Uh, well, it doesn't make them infallible. It makes them very fallible. We see this in the media all the time. The media people there, they project themselves as these perfect liars, these perfect beasts. They got the suit and the tie out there, and they're standing in front of it, and they can't make a mistake, and they say whatever their owner wants them to say, and then at the first sign of weakness, everybody else jumps over them, and they're like dogs, they're like lions, and they eat them and they kick them out of the media. We've seen this with so many media pundits, because they never had to realize and go through what that little clay doll of the human that Prometheus was saying. He says it has faults. We all have faults. We have these maladies. We have these things we do wrong, and I think it's the truthfulness of Mgtow. And we look at ourselves, and we go through these things, and we fix these things one by one and one by one, and we keep getting attacked, and we keep getting attacked, and we keep fixing these things. And what they're doing is they're making the perfect man. And when they get the perfect man, how are they going to deal with him? It's going through the fire. It's forged in a fire. for 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I don't know, 20 years now, we've been going through this. Every time we pop up, like I said, with Robert Bly's Iron John and the Mesopoetic period, and even Warren Farrell, and every time Paul even spoke to the media, they shit on him, and it was a trap. And we learn from each one of these events, and men's rights will always be what men's rights is. It will always be a, a a subject that no one wants to talk about, sort of a taboo, and they would like to make it taboo. That's what they want, and because there's so many uses for men's utility out there, that once you start taking that away, they start feeling it, and I think they are feeling it now. And imagine that. Imagine what they are saying here. They consider us a hate group. They consider us a hate group and saying hate speech because we are walking away with our utility. We're taking what is ours and we are leaving. That's a pretty ominous statement. They believe that they have a slave. They believe that they're entitled to a slave. And that could be farther from the truth. They don't deserve a slave, nor will they get a slave from any Mgtow. But they want you to buy into that traditional system of slavery, the Jim Crow system of promises into the next step. Oh, if you just go through this, sign this contract, this land contract with Jim Crow. Jim Crow politics was all about, at the end, you'll come out better. And that's what they're promising. At the end, you'll get a bridge to nowhere, because these people are the same people as they've always been. They're liars. They're cheats. They're people of great depravity that need a slave because they can't do it themselves. They are weak, manipulative people, just like women, that can't do it for themselves. So of course they get mad when men start walking off the fields. Men start walking off the farms and saying, screw yous, I'd rather live in the woods. Much better to die a free man than be a slave. Who's all in here? Hello, Mgtow Monk. Hello, Steve LeBlanc. Hello, Steve. Haven't seen Steve around in a while. The only hate group that walked away. Yeah. What's our crime? Our crime is walking away. That makes us a hate group. When you think about what they're saying, it's totally ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous when you look around here with the racial diversity we display in Mgtow. Even this small group around here, our friends that often talk to you. We have Shining, we have FSM, we have Mgtow Universe, Mgtow United, we have me, we have Shingles and Shining, and men from all over the country. We have Mortify. All these men come from different racial backgrounds, different colors of men. We're probably the most diverse group in the world. And what I think the media is, and what I think they hate about us, is because we fixed that problem. We're just men. We're all men, and we're going through things, and we're trying to make ourselves better men, and they hate that. They hate us for that, because we transcended racism. We transcended the stupidity that they try to throw on us. And oh God, they're going to hate us for that, because they still want one thing. They want us back on the farm. Yeah, the poison of the blue pill world. Oh God. So of course, when we look into the media and we look at these things that they say about us, and they try to link us together with hate groups, of course they're going to do that. that's what they do. They lie. And I think that's what Trump sees most in the fake news. And he's such a fake person himself. He doesn't know how to articulate what he sees. And what he sees is just the absence of truth in the news today, the absence of syllogisms that run to a truth. You know, back in the 80s and back before George Bush passed the law, and before Congress and then the whole world took to this thing. And there used to be the 1 hour of news, and the rule for the 1 hour of 6 o'clock news is all the syllogisms have to run to a truth. It has to be truthful news. You couldn't tell any lies on it. If you told those lies, you would be severely reprimanded and fined by the Library of Congress. And that law was taken to before. Before the Supreme Court, and they said, oh, well, companies don't have to tell the truth. People don't have to tell the truth. And it started this fire of fake news that we've seen today. You generally, in this country, you don't have to tell the truth because it just may be your opinion of the truth. And that's what they're saying, opinionated news. But who is the leading people in that thing? It was Fox News. And it was the six leading media outlets were just happy to get relieved of having to tell the truth all the time. You look at the three media journalists in Florida that took that to the Supreme Court, and you'll see that, oh God, what did they do with that? Well, now it's come full circle, and backlash is biting them in the ass. The same party and the same people that did that, backlash is coming back and biting them in the ass because people are saying those same untruths about them, and they don't like it now. There's something we should do about that. And that's what Mgtow is getting. We get untruths and lies told about us, and it's totally legal to do that. Is there someone? Let me see. Let me pull my thing back up. But these are the things that happen. Backlash is a wonderful thing. We see backlash in feminism. We see backlash in false rape accusations. It was all fine and dandy, and the administrator for that college, which just so happened to go on to be the governor of one of the states there, her son went to college and got accused falsely of rape, and all of a sudden she's up and like, oh, now I can see the backlash. Sometimes you have to go through a period of tempering before you can see things correctly. And even though she had to go through that with her son, they're not willing to stand up and say, oh, maybe this thing's a little wrong. Maybe we got things a little wrong. Maybe social justice has carried itself a little farther than this. But these stupid people will never do it. And most of the media pundits on Fox News, they took the average IQ of people in the media, and it was like an astounding 30 points lower than the average human. And it was just, wow. You can go look that up online if you don't believe me. These people are dumb as a box of rocks. And that goes the old adage, they just want someone to mimic their words and say, if you can repeat a paragraph with no originality and no inflections about your thoughts on that, you will make the perfect media broadcaster. You will make the perfect media pundit. Just mimic what they say. If you can learn how to do that, and that's pretty sad. It's pretty sad that their intelligence is probably about 110 when it should be 140 on the IQ test. That particular IQ test. I like the military IQ test that goes to 212, and that's the one they use for the Geniuses Club. 10 miles on a bike in 90 plus heat. Who did 10 miles on a bike in 90 plus heat, Jay? Joey Aragon, did you do that? I'm not doing that. I haven't rode my bike for a while now because it is so hot. Hello, Mgtow. Staying free, Mgtow. You out and about, running around today, doing your things and everything. I'm just filling some time until you start your broadcast, whatever time that's going to be. I've invited some people in, but nobody wants to show up lately. But that's okay. Um, we'll just do this thing. Today we're talking about Mgtow going through another period of time where it's where we're going to have to go through some things, get some more lies labeled against us by what is basically Google and the media and YouTube and the social justice gang. But in that would come out the end this fire, this tempering, and at the end we'll be stronger. And it always happens. Good press, bad press will grow, and there'll be a recrystallization, a Mgtow 3.0 of our ideas that'll be based on how-to ideas for men. And that's the good part. Whatever they do to us, whatever they say to us, however they try to censor us, uh, it's not going to work. It's like tempering iron. You'll just get a recrystallization of the composition and the austenite, the cementites, and it'll make a better, finer weapon. And Mgtow is like this tested steel. It's reformed and it goes through this process every year, every 2 years, and stronger Mgtows will be born from this harsh process. So don't worry about it, men. Don't worry about it. There's one thing in true, and that's one thing that's true, and it's for certain that YouTube can't sustain not paying because everybody's just going to click on the no ads allowed on their thing, and it's unsustainable to do this for any period of time. So what I think is they're just shaking off the ticks and they're shaking off all the garbage because all these people will leave, the untempered ones, the ones that are weaker. And Google itself is just paying ABC right now with your money. So after they're through, this will just make YouTube and Google a better place in the end, because the stronger ones, the better ones, the ones that are willing to take it, unless they start going to the unless they start going to the act of actually taking down channels. But then you just restart a channel, and then you'll get a chance to rebuild and reform and remold and redo it the right way this time. Maybe we've made some mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes with my channel. I've said things that I wasn't supposed to say. I did things that I wasn't supposed to do. Now I know better. If I did start a new channel, I think it would be a better channel. It'd be a stronger channel, and I wouldn't lose a single fan that comes around. The same people would simply come around, and it would probably grow. So if we look at them things and we just hang out and we just look at the things that the positive in this thing, they say in Alaska, there's trees up there, and they endure this. They endure these winds that come off up in Columbia and everything, and they say to cut down the trees and take the trees that are closest to the edges because the strongest trees are made from the strongest winds. And that's like Mgtow. We have to go through this because we have to endure the winds of media every year, and it tempers us, and it pulls on our threads, and it pulls on those bindings that link us in our souls. And then we come together and they get stronger. It's like the human body. Uh, every time you need to heal, it'll make a stronger bond. Every time you need to do that, it makes a stronger person. Every time you go through something, it makes a stronger you because you remember how to do that. It's like that clay doll of Prometheus. He was born fallible. Many, many fates would become the human of that time. But after he went through that, and after he went through every one of those things and we became truly, truly human, the gods envied us because the gods could never figure out how to go through these things that we every day as humans have to go through. It's what tempers us. It's what forges us. It's what makes us better. These faults become our strengths. These little fractures in the metal of men become their strength. If you are willing to go through the process, if you are willing to sustain, it's your choice. MGTOWs like metal, we have a choice. We can either say, no, stop the process, I'm leaving. And that's what we see the rage out leavers. They're going Mgtow on Mgtow and going back to the farm. They're not strong enough. That's great. That's great when they leave. Go back to the farm. Take that little bit of Mgtow that you learned. But the strong ones will endure the process. They will endure the fold. They will endure the heat and then the sudden quench. Over and over and over again. And it will make Mgtow stronger. Oh, John is busy. JKU Lion Saka. John. John's kicking everybody out. John, ease up with the hammer. So, if no one comes in the next few minutes, I've invited a few people. If they don't come in, then I'll just end this one and we'll sit and we'll wait for SFM to start his podcast. We'll wait for SFM to do his Saturday podcast. And that's always one I like to listen to. This was supposed to start at 3 o'clock, but I started it early. Oh, there he is. Laughed my F. Yeah, I'll hop in. Yeah. Are you doing one today? That's what I was wondering. SFM, are you doing one or am I going to have to mumble on all day long? You're still running errands? You're still running errors? So, yeah, you'll start one later probably. And that's okay. No, that's okay. Forming a true from yourself is like forging steel. Yes, it's a lot like forging steel. We're all born whole, but we're all born with slight imperfections. When you look at a clump of steel, it's just a clump of steel. It's laying there. It's like, oh man, and you form something beautiful out of that. That takes a lot of tempering. You take out and you take like building a sword. That's what we're doing in Mgtow. We're taking a plowshare and we're pounding out it into a sword, a beautiful sword. And if you don't know where swords come from, I love that analogy. And the farming and the herding things, the farmer would when he needed to protect his crops and his land and his livestock, he would take out a plowshare and he'd take it into the blacksmith shop and he'd pound it and he'd form it and he'd forge it and he'd quench it and he'd quench the steel over and over again, taking the carbons and bringing it to martensite if he had the way of doing that and making a perfect sword out of that. And then he'd go off to fight his wars and he would come back and he would take that same sword and he'd pound it back into a plowshare and till the dirt and make the crops for everybody in the community. And everybody enjoyed that. And that's how plowshares and wars are the same thing. It's all the same thing in my mind, at least. It's a great book about that. But that's what we do in Mgtow. We go through these things, and there's nothing wrong with being a Mgtow. A Mgtow, especially a Mgtow monk, is an honorable, fine thing. And they will come and they will pick at every one of your faults, and they will say lies about you, and they will say destructive things about you, only because they could never be as good as the metal of the men of Mgtow. They could never, ever be as good as us. And it bothers them. And they are filthy creatures running around out there with huge flaws and holes in their cells. And that's it. They can never be as good as us. And that drives them fucking crazy. So, with that, no one's coming in, so I think I'm going to shut this thing down because I can't go forever on this topic. And you guys have a great day. And thanks a lot for being Mgtow. Take care. Enjoy your Saturday.